All right, and we are live. So let me open my Diet Coke here. And quick reminder for those of you who join in after the fact, which is most of you, please click like down below. Please subscribe, join my Army channel memberships, follow me on Instagram, on Facebook down below. Use my Amazon affiliate link if you want to. All right. Let's see if we get a few people in here. I did one of these yesterday. I don't usually do these on training days, but I'm actually chilling a little head on work. It's raining outside, so I don't feel like taking another walk. And so yeah, I thought I'd knock out a live stream, see if a few people get in here. Any decent questions? Emma told me I should be less grumpy in these. I'll try to be less grumpy. You know, I think people had said, well, different people do this in their live streams. Like, well, I wouldn't know, guys. I don't watch other people's live streams. Sorry, I just don't know what they do. But this might not be worth doing. I put up an announcement on Facebook, which usually gets people in quicker. We only got 7 people watching. We're a minute deep. Did people not see it? Right? I don't know. Maybe. Tab over and look. Well, 8 people. You guys who are in here, click like. It'll get it into people's feeds quicker if you engage. If you guys engage, it will get more people in. There we go. Getting the likes up equal to the views. All right. A few more people in. And see if we get any questions. I think that's the most boring part for people who chime in. Any health concerns when eating red meat, eggs, and white rice every day? I guess it's, here's the thing with saturated fat. It's still going to be the type of saturated fat, and it's still going to be, has to do with your energy turnover, the context of your whole diet, and quantity. How much red meat are you eating? I don't recommend you eat a bunch of fatty red meat, by the way. Maybe for very short periods of time, like, for example, when you saw me do water cut for the meat, I was eating those ribeyes and New York strips and things, but I was also on no carbohydrate for like 6 days, going into my weigh-in. So that's a little bit different in a short term, but you're not going to want to eat that way all the time. I can assure you, gaining muscle and performing the way I do right now, my training volumes, there's no way you could do it on low carbs. You can't do it. So that's not an option for you. So, I mean, it's all going to be, in your case, adding white rice. Yeah, I would say, if you're going to eat a carb heavy diet, you need to keep the saturated fat relatively low. Again, unless it's a short term bulking and you're having to add dairy in, which seems to be a little better. So, I mean, your question's really nuanced. Do you recommend collagen for underweight guys looking to build tendon health? Maybe, but I would say protein overfeeding is better. Getting into a calorie surplus, actually training correctly, watching your fatigue management. Okay. Really underweight guys have to deload more often. Really underweight guys have to do a little extra work for their tendons. I don't think a collagen supplement is going to be what you're looking for. I think you need to address these other things first. Address the big stuff before you worry about the little stuff. Does that make sense? Coach, body weight dips slightly irritate my right shoulder. Is this from overuse issue or biomechanics? If it's a form, what could be causing it? Well, if it's irritating it, just quit doing them. Not a mandatory lift, because I don't know. I have no idea what your programming or form looks like. And stuff you could pay for a consultation and we could look at, but otherwise I don't know. But I would say if it's irritating your shoulder, take it out of your rotation, do something else. Bench press, you can do dumbbell work, all sorts of other things you can do for your chest and triceps besides dips. Coach Sika Strength Channel said you can't do GBP year-round. Your thoughts? I do GBP year-round. I'm 45 and competing at the world level. I do GPP year round. Plenty of elite athletes do GPP year round. Who is this guy? He's saying you can't do something that hundreds, if not thousands, of elite athletes around the world successfully do. You can't do it. Well, you know he's full of shit. I've never heard of him. I don't know who he is. I like to eat lean ground beef. Oh, this is Jordan. I just got a Titan T2 squat rack for home gym. Wish me luck with the new piece. Good luck. Coach, I bought Turkestone and now I feel silly because of the scandal. I didn't know there was a scandal. Carlos, what scandal? I told you guys from day one it was a scam. Is there some scandal I don't know about? That's the second person I've heard mention something about that. And here's the other thing. You just asked about collagen also. Maybe focus on your diet and your training instead of nonsense. Okay. If I prefer to do main lifts all the time and my home gym equipment is limited, then I guess 531 is better for me than Conjugate. It all depends, Marco. I don't know how limited. And you can always expand your home gym over time. Hey guys, can we get more likes? Hit the like button. There's almost 4 people watching for every like. Get those engagements. Like. There we go. Hit those likes. Yeah, Marco, you're looking for a better. I don't know what's going on with your mindset and your training. Why don't you just pick one? Pick one and run with it. Is doing close grip against bands for rep work good for tricep weakness? I don't know that bands would be my first choice for close gripping for rep work. Speed work, sure. You could do chains with close grip. I think that's probably a little better because it's understanding the nature of bands. They're different than chains. You could do it, but then against close grip work and just doing band press downs will also do it. Thanks for all the wonderful content and information, Jason. Best strength and fitness channel on YouTube. I appreciate the donation. I have no idea how much money that is because I don't know the currency. Because it's 1,000, but I don't know if it's a currency with 100 to 1 conversion or what do we got. But either way, I appreciate it, brother. I'll find out later. Coach, if I don't do powerlifting or squats and mandatory lift, what can I replace them with? I think everyone should squat, at least some squatting. You could do belt squats, leg presses, single leg exercises. There's lots of stuff you can do to develop your legs, but squats kind of bring their own thing to the table. On camber bar squats, why don't you go ass to grass? Chad, I go to my full range of motion. I bottom my squats out for the most part. Not on those other heavier ones like the 600 plus ones, but I've been squatting deeper these days. I eat 1 meal per day that consists of ground beef. The rest of my diet is rice, chicken, oats, milk, fruit, veggies. Wondering if you could prove. Well, again, Morton, context of quantity, right? How many grams of saturated fat are you eating a day from red meat? That's the stuff we'd be looking at. I recommend, for the most part, really lean red meat. Coach, when squatting, is it okay to have the knees to go over the toes sometimes? That's a point of controversy. Look, a lot of good experts say it's perfectly fine. I feel for a lot of people it can inflame the tendons, particularly with your heavy back squats. I'd rather see it on smaller movements if you're going to do it, me personally. There's a reason I like back squat or box squats for people who have a history of knee problems because of the reduced shear. I guess it comes down to how healthy are your knees and how strong are your hamstrings, But generally speaking, you're going to squat more weight if your knees don't go past your toes. So it depends on what are you trying to do. Should we do good mornings with a wide stance? How do you typically have your clients do it? What stance? Well, we usually do shoulder width as a baseline. And then if necessary for different things, we will go wide stance or narrower. Because again, you're saying my clients, everything is customized. It has to do with what's going on right now with their training. So that's not a set answer. But I like to use shoulder width as baseline. What is your current cycle? Didn't you see the hashtag natural bro? Something about the Turkestone. What do you say? The Turk that Derek and Greg are selling is not really Turk. They want. Well, it doesn't matter, real Turk or not. The Turk itself doesn't really seem to do much. Oh, he says that RSD is about $10. Well, either way, it's all good, man. I appreciate the donation, brother. Thoughts on speed work without bands? Well, if you don't have bands, you don't have a choice, do you? A statement, not a question. Instead of Converse or trainers today, I squatted barefoot while contracting my toes to grip my mats and felt so much more grounded and stable. I think most people should do a phase of training without shoes. I think it's good to get good rooting to the ground. I did it for a couple of years on camera. Why do you think so many older men at my gym talk about their knees hurting when squatting heavy? I don't know because they trained like crap when younger. I'm a 28-year-old who weighs around 215 at 5'10". My max bench right now is 355. I'm struggling to raise it the past few months after years of advancing it. Am I near my natural limit? Well, you're going to have to gain more muscle. If I don't care about natural Goliath. He's not natural for one. I haven't seen that guy in like 8 years. I made videos discussing his stuff when I used to watch YouTube fitness and it was a smaller world. And I kind of clowned on some of what he was doing. But don't let that guy convince you he's natural. Nonsense. Everyone's going to be natural. And they're not. There's problems with his training if it's what it was 8 years ago. But honestly, I don't care. I don't care about picking fights with other YouTubers. I don't care about giving my opinions on them. Because at a certain point, if you say anything, fanboys get upset. Those people get upset. It's just not worth the fighting because I just don't care. I don't care enough to watch them to have opinions anymore. I just don't. I care about getting people strong. I do my stuff on my channel. My coaching is my main gig. It's my main job. It's my passion. And I just, quite frankly, don't care. I don't give advice on the C thing. Look, you'll recover when you recover. Some people recover instantly. Some people's training's not even affected by that virus. Some people are knocked down for 2 or 3 weeks. There's no textbook answer. What do you think about 3-day-a-week conjugate? How would you rotate it to make it work? You just spread it out longer. You run the same thing, you just spread it out further. I've had to do that with clients. Vegan, I don't care about J Masters. Quit bringing that to my channel. No one cares. No one cares. I don't care about the YouTube drama, man. I don't care what people are doing. It's not relevant. Coach, would a dip hammer strength machine be a good substitute for the bodyweight dip since they cause shoulder irritation? Maybe. Or you could just find a different exercise. You could do all sorts of presses. How to avoid hernias in the gym? I don't know. That's a complex topic. Hernias are mostly genetic. If you're going to get a hernia in the gym, you're going to get it mowing the lawn 10 years from now. If you don't get it in the gym. As someone trying to meet a calorie surplus, can I just use a multi-green micronutrient supplement to save room for more food? No, those things are not a good. You need to eat food. Eat your fruits and vegetables. Find fruits that are less filling to replace the vegetables. Problem solved. Just got a lifting belt, insert lever, 10 millimeter, love it for squats, but I don't like it on deadlifts. Makes it difficult to set up. I played around with the belt placement, no luck. Any recommendations? Keep playing with the belt placement. If I do Romania, it might be too tight also. If I do Romanian deadlift on one session, good morning on another session, it would be better to have GM on squat day and RDL on deadlift day or vice versa. Marco, it really depends. I don't know. Without seeing the whole context of your programming, I don't have advice. I mean, this is something I would look at for an individual client with the context of what we're doing. When you worked out at a public gym, did you ever approach someone to correct their form? Yeah, a few times. Never had an issue with it. I mean, if they were working hard, I don't care about something silly, but if someone's actually putting in real work on a barbell occasionally, I would offer minor advice very carefully, and it was always well received. I would always lift something really heavy first so that they knew I was strong. Are refeeds really an overrated tool, and is leptin's effects on metabolic rate really insignificant that it won't make a difference? Leptin is about appetite, not metabolic rate. Refeeds are an overrated tool. Yeah. How would you program Conjugate for an early intermediate based around their individual needs? I'm not going to give you recommendations about where to live in Houston. That is not what this channel is about. Just watched a bunch of Flex Wheeler videos, realized he never benched or squatted more than 225 and used most of the machines. I realized his gains are 99% drugs. Yeah, everyone do that back in the day. Do you program calf training for your clients? Rarely. Not saying never, but it's rare. Who do you admire? I don't know. Can one successfully bulk with moderate carb and high amounts of PUFA-rich fat sources? You could, if that's the way you wanted to go about it. From a health perspective, body composition that might not be optimal, but it'd be pretty good for health. How much should I be able to raw squat before equipping with a belt? I wouldn't base it on that. You can start using a belt anytime you want. How often can I rotate out GHRs without atrophy at the head of the hamstring at work? Doesn't matter. Benny, I've taken out GHRs for like 3 or 4 months and came back and done them. It was like within one workout back to my old strength. It'll sustain it just fine, other lifts, as long as you're doing something for hamstring. All right, guys, let's get a few more likes. We have over 2 people watching for every like. Let's get a few more of those. Reach down and click likes. Is doing 5x20 dips after being fatigued of heavy work and another pump exercise a good standard? Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Unless you're really, really, really skinny, maybe. But then again, if you don't have any muscle and you're doing 20 dips, that's still pretty good. Do people on steroids still have to work as hard because that's always how they try and defend using drugs? What? I don't really understand the question. I mean, everyone's on gear. What are you talking about? Everybody's on gear, dude. Let's just be realistic. Everyone you admire online's on something. Just every athlete you admire is on something. It's the real world. I think people worry about this way too much. Know that that's the fact. Get over it. If you don't want to use, hey, great, I support that. Person wants to use, hey, that's their right. Also, that's just my worldview of it at this point. I think you people worry about who is and isn't on gear way too much, and maybe I contributed to that early on. Maybe I contributed to that with some of my how to spot a fake natty videos, but I haven't done those in many, 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 many years. You guys just over worry about that stuff. It's not that big of a deal. Trust me, every influencer you admire is on gear, all of them. And the more they claim natty, the higher their dose is. That's usually the general rule. What's the best way to get all the calories you need working a physical job, doing sports and strength training? You got to find calorie-dense foods. You got to find calorie-dense foods that you can force down. You don't have to enjoy them. That's where people mess up. Well, I like eating this. Well, you don't have to like eating something to eat lots of it. You need to have the physical ability to eat lots of it. Okay? I'm struggling to hit all the recommended micronutrients on Chronometer. Any tips or resources on how to do so? Yes, eat foods that contain the things that you're deficient in. That is my tip. Any suboptimal would higher fat bulking be for body composition versus higher carb? I mean, for body composition perspective, it's big. It's real big. But if you can't gain weight because you can't eat enough calories without eating high fat, you don't have a choice, do you? Some people don't have the appetite to eat 500 or 600 grams of carbs a day, like I can. Okay, and if that's the case, then you're gonna have to eat fat. But if you protein overfeed and eat a lot of carbs and keep fat really low, you will have the best ratios of muscle to fat gain by a very, very large margin. But a lot of guys can't do that. That's why when I say the whole lean gains thing, most people can't maintain the discipline of it because it requires the protein overfeeding and everything. Would you ever do another strength sport like strongman? I don't know why you guys asked that. Let me get some world records in my current sport before we worry about competing in other sports. Don't you? Do you guys think that's a fair statement? That's kind of what I've said when people ask me this. Why don't you do this sport or that? I'm like, well, let me get some world records in the sport I compete in already first. Okay. Let me get a few world records and then we can have that conversation. Coach, should I include dumbbell work since my gym friends were telling me the standard barbell bench doesn't work the chest that well? Where'd they come up with that? That's nonsense. It's not supported by physiology. It's not supported by hypertrophy research. I'm not saying dumbbells aren't good. They are. Dumbbells are very good for hypertrophy for your chest. But so is the barbell if you do it correctly. When doing exercises like band leg curls or band press downs for tendon hypertrophy, should we still leave reps in reserve? Yeah, you can leave one in reserve. Do you think you can take specific measures to prevent hernias or higher risk exercises like one arm dumbbell rows, or just inevitable that genetic? I mean, you can do things to reduce your chance, but if you were genetically prone to having hernias, you are going to have a hernia eventually, unless you choose to lay in bed and never get up for the rest of your life. Like, you're going to have a hernia taking out the trash one day, or mowing the lawn, or picking up the groceries. Probably better to go ahead and get it out of the way in the gym, doing something that's going to improve your life and make you healthier, and just get it fixed. Now, that being said, you can probably slow it down a little with some extra ab work and things. It's not a bad idea. Do you think it's cheating to claim you have a 1,000-pound deadlift, but it's a sumo deadlift? No. Sumo is allowed in competition. Now, if you're doing sumo with straps, that would not be true. As no strength sport counts that. Hey, Jason, I lost 30 pounds and gained a bit of strength following your advice. Thanks, man. 20 more pounds to go. Congrats, man. Congrats. Keep moving forward. Is there any benefits to avoiding estrogenic foods that are talked about by those who promote the vertical diet? Nope. Coach, will you be doing breakfast with Blaha again? Probably not. I haven't recorded a single one of those this year. Those were all from last year. It just took me that long to get them uploaded. What major modifications do you make to the Conjugate template for raw lifting? Well, you see my training. I'm a raw lifter. You see Emma. You remember Mike's vlogs. Those were all Conjugate. None of us compete in suits. So there you go. How to focus on the main lifts on Conjugate. You can do stuff that's a little bit closer for your max effort work. Less variation in the variations. But, you're going to get stronger at the main lifts on Conjugate. Maybe do all your max work as back squats instead of box stuff. Do speed work for the boxes. Otherwise, you're going to get strong on the main lifts. Can I run Conjugate without doing ME deadlifts as long as it's variations, but still do deadlifts for speed work? I think you need to do some heavy pulling. Are you ever going to compete against Nick Best? Well, since we don't compete in the same age or weight class, I'm not sure what you want me to do. Like, you're talking about on dots or something? Coach, do you ever think there will be a day that steroids get legalized, marijuana maybe in Texas? I don't know, man. I think they should have the same laws that alcohol has, personally. My opinion. Do I see it happening in the political environment? Probably not. Like, I could say this is what I'd like to see, and I can also say it's going to be a snowball's chance in hell of it happening. If I were to adopt a high carb protein overfeeding approach to bulking for body composition purposes, do you keep fats around minimum levels required for health? Pretty much. Basically, get it from fish oil. Hey, Jason, is it okay to program a squat at 50 to 60% after a 90% pull? Thanks. Maybe, but what program are you running? Should you go for 1 rep maxes on good mornings? I've done it. You've seen me do 555 pounds on a good morning on camera before. Would you say practical programming is a necessary read? No, but it's a good read. Do Do you think a 5 30-second rounds of weighted carries using a trap bar and 30 pounds is good enough for GPP? My deadlift max is 450. That's a good round of GPP, but that shouldn't be for all of your GPP. You're going to need some other stuff. Any more firearm content coming? Probably a 99.999% chance, no. I haven't done any for years. I don't do firearm stuff online anymore and probably never will. It's all strength, baby. Do you have any arm wrestling clients? Currently, no. Well, in that case, is it true that you want to stay safe? Oh, scroll down. It's not a question for me. Coach, what do you think about high rep squats? This routine my friend is on calls for squats 3x15 once a week. They can have their place. You've seen me do high rep squats in the past. Do diet breaks reduce the chance of muscle loss on a long-term cut, or is this BS? Well, they might help you not be as hungry. Why don't you just cut slower and eat more protein? That would be the best way to reduce muscle loss on a cut. Hey, coach, do you suggest a 5-pound cut while trying to main your maxes as there are? My deadlift doesn't decrease much, but my squat does when cutting, bench about the same. It really depends. That's a very context-dependent question. Carolina, you did not contact me about the coaching after yesterday, even when you asked where, by the way. I sent you the link. Is training hip flexors useful for squats? What is their role in the squat? They can be useful. I don't think you need to do a lot of direct work. I think you're squatting plus, I like hanging leg raises even for that. Hey, Jason, why the reverse hyper and GHD is extremely underrated in commercial gyms in the fitness culture? I don't know, because they're ignorant. Do you coach bodybuilders differently than other lifters? Slightly. Yes, because we have to worry about their weak points. How can I find a quality bargain SSB? Titan Fitness. I find my left spinal record is always sore and fatigued whenever my right, whereas my right is. Will this fix over time, or should I adjust training? Something wrong with your training. My low back doesn't hurt. Jason, do you think people that lift weights recreationally and don't wish to compete need a coach, given they have a basic fundamental idea of training progressive overload? I think everyone could benefit from a coach. Ethan, I think everyone could benefit from a coach. However, for some people, it may not be cost effective for them. Does that make sense? Literally, even a recreational novice lifter could get better quicker with a coach. The question becomes, is it cost effective for them and their budget? Okay, that's the real question. Hard dumbbell pullover is beneficial, maybe, sometimes. Does grip on rows change what back muscles are targeted? I don't mean grip width, but more like pronated grip versus neutral grip. Yes, to some extent it does. Because I'm going to end this soon. I'm going to just look for good questions. My apologies. I responded back. Just wanted to make sure you had slots available. I would like some sort of 6-month program where I learn how to maintain my main lifts, but lean out a bit. Well, send me the message. Put in an application. We can discuss it. Right? I almost always have slots available. I mean, unless I have 50 clients, I have slots available. I'm sitting on 41, and 2 of them are temporary. I'm only going to have them for 2 months. They're former clients who bought 2 months from me. Gregorus, I'm about to ban you. We don't need that nonsense in here. All right. Looking for any other good questions. I get a couple of my orc warriors since they contribute. Seeing as you have over 30 clients, would you ever raise your rates for new ones, or is that unethical? Kingslayer, I may raise rates. I might raise rates towards the end of the year just slightly. How much forearm growth are you missing out on if you only do grip work and no wrist curls? I don't think wrist curls are necessary. Like Israel made a video saying weak point training is counterproductive. I don't know that it's counterproductive, meaning you could put a little more volume towards your weakest links. It doesn't mean you don't train everything for a high degree of hypertrophy. If I pay for multiple months, is there a discount? That's asking about my coaching. Yeah, people who buy 6 months, I give them 10% off. I have 3 people right now on 6-month blocks, but that's all paid up front. All right. We've passed the 30-minute mark, so I'm going to wind this down. I hope it has been informative. I love all of you, and I will talk to you guys next time.